Hi guys, hello and welcome to another CSS tutorial. In this tutorial, I have built a very small HTML document. And in this document, I simply have a header. And this header has one heading, H1. And then I have an article in which I have another heading, size H3. And then I have a division. And in this division, I have another division which has two spans, and each span has an image. One of the reasons that I've set it up this way, because first of all, I want to teach you guys how to do tables through CSS. Then we're going to take the same example and learn how you can apply some CSS effects on the images. So that's why I have the same copy of the two images, so that you can see the original work and also the altered work side by side. So anyway, let's get started here. So first of all, I would like to transform these images into a little bit smaller sized images, and then we will going to transform this setup into a table, which will going to give you a table like look and feel, but it will not be an HTML table, rather will be a CSS table. So therefore, if you notice, I've used a lot of IDs here. I have an ID called home, then I have an ID called pict, which is a picture table, then I have an ID called trow, tcell, and then I have another tcell. So whatever properties I apply to tcell will apply to both of them. Similarly, for each of the pictures, I have given an ID pic1 and pic2, so that whatever common properties are there, I can apply to both of them, and whatever are uncommon, I can give to each one of them. So let's have a look at the CSS document for now. So in the CSS document, I've only applied some properties to the H1 in the header and the H3 in the article, whose ID is home. So that's how you're seeing this effect, which I'll just show you just right now, is this effect, which you can see with the text. There's the center align, and the H3 is also center align. These are the images, two of them, which are right now coming top and bottom, like they're stacked up like that, which we're going to be fixing next. So let's get started. First of all, I would like to scroll down to my IDs for pic1 and pic2, and I would like to shrink their size. So I can say width, I want each one of them to be 300 pixels, and instead of giving height a value, I can say height should be auto adjusted, so I do not stretch the images too much. So I'm just letting the system take care of this sizing. I'm just giving the width. So now when I will refresh this, so notice both images are now 300 pixels, where the height is automatically taken care by the system. Now let's switch back to the CSS document. Here I want my pict to be transformed as a table. So therefore I'll use the display property in CSS, and I'll say I want my pict, which is my main division, as you can see over here, my main division, which holds my entire set of the second division and the two spans. I want it to be treated as a table. So that's why I'm saying the display should be the table. Then I want my next set of division, which is given an ID of trow, to be treated as a table row. So I'll say display table hyphen row. So I want this to be treated as a table row. And my columns, which are each of my spans, as you can see, each of my spans I'm giving tcell. So this is basically my tcell. I want my tcell to each have a display of a table cell. So that's how I have set it up. So now let's refresh. Okay, so as you can see, they're both next to each other, and everything between them is all collapsed up because of the properties that we have set up over here. So now we will going to give each one of them some more properties, such as I want my whole table to be center aligned. So I can come up here in pict and I can say I want margin of the table to leave 0 pixels in the top and the bottom, and the left and right should leave the equal amount of space. So as a result, when I save the changes and refresh, you will see that it becomes center aligned. So this is how you can transform irregular stuff into a CSS table. And this basically gives CSS developers a lot of luxury that they can turn on and off the tables. They can transform it from a table to a non-table anytime they like. They can go through all of these different kinds of transformation. So that's sort of kind of a benefit. So anyway, so let's have a look at what other things that you can do. So if I want my table to have any kind of properties such as borders and things like that, I can apply it at the table level, such as I can say, I want my table to have a border. Now in CSS, there are 8 different kinds of bordering that you can use. So that's one of the luxuries in CSS. So as in this whole thing, we're going to start to look at different bordering styles. We're going to look at how you can apply different kind of filters to the images. So then we're also going to play around with the border. So border, first of all, allows you to give a thickness. So I can say I want it to be 1 pixel solid black. So after I apply this, and let me refresh my output here. As you can see, there's a black border that you can see around. Okay. Now I can go back and say I want it to be increased to 3 pixels. 3 pixels. So I refresh this and you can see it goes slightly darker in text. Okay. I can say I want my border, instead of a solid, there is an option called dashed. So I can have a dashed border. I can have dotted borders. I can have double borders. Likewise, I can have inset. As you can see over here, let me change the color so that you can, and make a little bit thicker. So let me make it 10 pixels, okay? And let me change the color to green. So now notice with inset, the top and the left are dark and the bottom and right are light. So that's inset. Let me change this to outset. And you will see it's just the opposite effect. Similarly, I have another property that I can give, groove. And you can see over here how the groove looks like. So the top and the bottom, and left and right. So if you notice all 4 sides, you'll notice that the right and the bottom match, that inside they have a darker color and outside they have a lighter color, and the top and the left are just the opposite. And if I change from groove to ridge, you'll see just the opposite effect. So these borders pretty much let you see how you want your frame to come out, molded or subtle or divided. I mean, like, there are different kind of options you have. You can play around with them. You can also decide that I only want the top border, or I only want a bottom border, or left border, or right border, or I only want a top and bottom, or I only want left and right, or I only want top and left. So you can basically decide. So border has a lot of properties, like I can hyphenate it, and I can start giving different kind of bordering properties. So for example, if I only want to give a top border, I can hyphen top this, and I can save the changes and refresh, and here I have the top border. Now similarly, I can change this to bottom, and I can have the bottom border. So this is how you can play around, and you can choose which side you want to apply the effect. So let me change this back to solid and black, and let me make it 2 pixels. Okay. Now let me come down to each of the cells now. So each of the cells, I'll copy this and paste it down below. For each of the cells, I want them to have a border of 1 pixel, solid, and I want it to be gray. So if you see, you can briefly see a little bit of whitish here. Let me zoom in so that you could see the gray here. The gray color that's coming out inside. Now, I can use another property inside my pigt. I can say border collapse. And you will notice that it basically is used to collapse all the bordering. So anyway, this is basically what I've done over here for now in this tutorial, is to give borderings for the cell, borderings for the table. It gives you a table-like look and feel, but in reality it's not really a table. What is it? It is a CSS using the display properties to make it look like a table. Hope you would have enjoyed this tutorial. I'll catch you in the next one where we're going to apply different picture effects.